Hello and welcome to the channel Tech Core Concept. I am Nitesh and today we will be talking about github.com and Git. What the heck this Git is actually. So say for example you have a situation where you want to make some changes in files, but you also want to keep the previous versions so that you can always come back and see that what changes you have been made, and in case if you want the previous version of the file to be used, if the changes are not good or for any reason, then you can always keep the previous version from that copy. Now if you do not have Git, then you can do this versioning by keeping multiple copies of that file and then make the changes and rename the files as version V or version 1, version 2, version 3. But this particular process becomes hectic when the number of files are more or the number of versions are more. To solve this problem, Git is the software. Now you can always download the Git software from git-scm.com/download. You should always choose the proper appropriate version as per your operating system. Right now I'm using Mac OS X, so it's giving me this download button. I can download this from clicking on this button. I'm not going to download this because I already have it installed. It's pretty easy. You can just click on the button and follow the process to install, and once that process is done, Git has been installed successfully. Now in order to check whether the Git has been installed successfully or not on your system, you can open the terminal or the command prompt in case if you are on Windows and type the following command: git -- version. Now if it's showing any version and it's not showing any error, that means congratulations, you have installed Git successfully. Now let's talk about what is github.com. github.com is an online repository on which you can keep the track of different version of your particular file or files. But in order to keep the track of the files versions on your local system, now there is a case where you don't want to upload the files on online repository like github.com, then you can use this software on your local system which you have just installed. Okay, now as you see that the Git has been installed successfully, so the next question is that how we can tell Git that please keep the track of a particular folder, that if there is any change in that particular folder, then just keep the version with you so that you can always refer to the particular version. Before doing that, let's see some simple commands by which we can configure Git. This configuration is not required, let me tell you, but it is always good to configure Git in case if you are working in multiple teams, and if you do not configure Git with your name and email, then later if you will check Git log, then it will be a problematic task to determine that which system committed what. So in order to change the name, you can type the following command: git config -- global user dot name, and then you can type the name here, Tech Core Concepts. Hit enter. Now in order to change the email, config -- global user dot email, and then you can type email, Tech Core Concept gmail.com. Okay. In order to see the config list, you can type git config -- list, and it will show you that this is the username what you will be using, Tech Core Concept, and this is the email which will be shown in the log file. Okay, let's clear it out. Now let's create a folder. I hope you know some of the basic commands like mkdir, which is used for making a directory. I'm creating a directory called git tutorial tutorial. God, I can type it. Okay, git tutorial. Now, in order to change this directory, or I'm sorry, in order to change the directory, we use the command cd. It's change directory. Git to tutorial. Okay, so now we are in the git tutorial directory which we have created just a couple of seconds ago. In order to see all the files under this folder, you can type the command ls. Now there is nothing in this folder right now, so it's showing empty. In case if you want to see all the hidden files in this folder, then you can type the command ls-la. This will show all the hidden folders and files in this particular folder, the present working directory. Okay, now the question is same, how we can tell git that just keep the track of this folder, that if I make any changes to a file, or if I add anything, if I delete anything, you should keep the track of all the versions. Okay, there's a simple command named git init. This will initialize a blank, an empty repository under this folder. Okay, so it's the command executed successfully, and it's saying initialize empty git repository in blah blah blah, the folder. So in case if you want to see that, just type the command ls-la, and now you can see that there is a folder which is obviously hidden but has been introduced because of this command git init. It is advised not to change or to edit this folder because git use this folder to keep the track of versions, so don't touch it. Now in order to see the status of the current directory that which git is watching, actually you can type the command git status. This is saying nothing to commit. That means git is watching this folder and there is no change which has been made after git started watching this folder, which is true. We haven't made any changes to this particular folder. Let's create a file. Now I'm using nano editor and I'm typing, this is the first file to check git functionality. Okay, press command control X and Y, and if you will run the command ls-la, now you can see that there is a file first.txt. Now how git is watching it, let's see by typing git status. Okay, now git is saying that there is a file. Yes, there is a file, but I am not tracking it. What? Why the git is not tracking it? So actually when we initialize the git, you remember I told you that git is initialized as an empty repository. So the git repository which is there, it's empty. So now if we as we added a new file, git knows that there is a new file there, but it's not keeping the track of this file. Means if you will make these changes to the file, git do not know and git will not keep the version. In order to let git know or to track this particular file, you can type the command git add first.txt. txt. Okay, now this is fine. If I'll hit enter, this will work successfully. But if you have too many files to be added to git staging server then you can just type git add dot. What dot means is that all the files in this particular folder will be added to the git staging server. And when I say server, it's a local server. So if I hit enter, command executed successfully, and if I type again git status, now it's saying something else. It's saying changes to be committed. That means, hey, now I am keeping the track of this file. There is a new file named first.txt and it is ready to commit. Now before committing it, let's talk about the three imaginary we can say server on the git. So now the particular folder in which you are, Git tutorial, that can be called as development environment or a development server. I believe environment is a better word. So development environment. When you add that particular file or all the files in this folder of Git tutorial by a command git add, then those files are copied to Git staging environment, and when you commit those files to Git, then those are being copied to Git repository. So that means right now this first.txt file is on Git staging environment, and in order to send it to the Git repo or Git repository, we should type the command git commit -m, and then you can type any command what you want to give. So it is advised that you should use some meaningful meaningful message here, so that you can always refer it back whenever you want that particular version back on your directory. So I'm using the message like adding first.txt, enter. Now it's saying one file changed and one insertion. That means that now this particular file is in the Git repository and it's been moved from Git staging server to Git repository. In order to check that, let's click Git status. Now it's saying nothing to commit. That means that the Git repository, the local Git repository, is exactly similar to the folder Git tutorial, and there is nothing new happened after we committed the last changes, which is true. We never edited anything. So this is how you can use Git to keep the version of this particular file first.txt. In order to see all the logs what you have done, you can type git log, and you can see that this is the time on which I committed the first .txt file, and the Git is saying that it's in this commit we added the first.txt file. So quickly, if we make the changes to the file first.txt, and I say I'm doing change now. Okay. Now if I type git status, it again says modified. Now as we already added this file by git add dot, now Git is keeping the track of this file, but that's why Git knows that this file has been modified, and the Git is taking the reference of the file which is in the local Git repository, the previous committed file what we committed. So obviously Git is saying that this file has been changed. In order to again add this change to the staging server, so please remember that you have to always send the current folder changes to first the staging server, and then you can send it to the Git repository, local Git repository. You can do it by a single command called git commit -am, and then the message modified first.txt file. Okay, so that means we have at the same time added this file to the staging server and moved the file to the Git local repository. If I again run git status, now you can see that there is nothing to commit because the file which is in the repository, it's exactly similar to the file which you have in Git tutorial folder. In order to see the log, you can always check by running the command git log, and it's showing that we have committed this particular file 2 times, and in order to see the log from a particular author, you can always type the command git log and then dash dash author and then the name of the author. So here it is. If we say, for an example, if we say example is the name of author, then it shows nothing because there is no commit from this. If we say tech, it's showing me that there are 2 commits from this particular user named or author named tech. That's it for now. This is the simple tutorial by which you can understand how Git works, what are 3 different environments of Git, and how you can keep the track of changes of the different files what you are creating in a folder. In the next tutorial, I'll be covering some more in-depth command of Git, like checking the differences and merging or checking out the particular version from Git repository to the local repository of Git tutorial. In case if you want to get back a particular version from Git repository to your folder, you can always do that. And then in the next tutorial, I'll be covering the github.com, that how you can upload or push your local folders files to github.com, so that online repository is always available in case if you mess up something in your local directory or your hard disk is not working, any damn reason, then you have an online repository which is also keeping the track of the files what you have just created. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. And if you feel that this video is useful for you and you got some knowledge about how Git works, then please subscribe this channel and keep watching for the next videos.